Hello, Levitical Kingdom Privateers. On September the 12th and 13th, we are hosting the first annual Holy Nation of the Ecclesia Conference. The theme is Threshold Covenant, with great worship brought to us by the Woodcock Singers, a great MC known as Plain Flyer 21, speakers like Dr. Mike Spalding, Jim Odell, Randy Conway, C2K Rick, and our keynote speaker, the world-renowned Vicki Joy Anderson. And don't miss a very special and world-altering Friday night event that will equip you for what is coming. Admission is free for our naturalized families and very affordable for our guests. Head over to c2kreport.com and scroll down on the homepage to find our link to purchase tickets for your friends and family. And remember, it's all about the blood. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Privateers Volley. This is Rick Hidalgo, your host, and today it's a little different than we normally do. You know, I usually take clips and we just talk about them. Today, I'm bringing in a guest that's one of the foremost experts in the world on trafficking, and I'm not joking. That's not a joke at all. She is my personal friend. I know her as T. You know her as Tammy Reef, and I'm going to bring her on. Welcome, T.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today and spend time with you. Thank you very much for having me.
It's actually my honor. I appreciate you very much, even since the very first time that I met you, and we got to tell a lot of jokes to each other at a Mexican restaurant. I think that I've had just this pull. There's like this pull, this magnetism where I just really appreciate you and what you're doing and what you've been through. And I think the world deserves to know your story. And as you can see under T's name in the box there, it says, "Where's Jonah Reef?" She's got an immense story. I would challenge everybody to go to whereisjonahreef.com. Go read about it. Go learn about it. Google it. You're going to find out that there are some really high-level people involved in this situation, and I think everybody needs to go in and check that out.
Thank you very much. Yes, that is the new website, is whereisjonahreef.com. And the reason it's so important, it's what it means, is not, even though it's my child, and I do ask people around the world to pray for his return and to get the story out. But I want you all to know that it is a meaning that just goes even beyond my Jonah. Okay, it means where are all the other children taken just like Jonah Reef? Because I want you to know I'm not an anomaly. And there are many, many, many that don't have a mom like me, like Jonah does, that are fighting like this hard and that need help, need prayer, especially prayer. And we need to find out, where do they all go? Because our goal is to set the captives free. We are Isaiah 61 Ministries on this end too, with whereisjonahreef.com. We're doing a lot of work with C2K. We love what you guys are doing over there. I believe that this is also what the Lord has brought me to you guys, to set the captives free. What you are doing, getting out of Babylon, is part of the answer. It's part of the remedy. So thank you also for what you're doing as well. It's very important. Let me just say that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So I think where I would really like to start, because we're asking the question, where are they going? I'm going to show a clip of some Hasidic Talmudist. That's what I call them. I don't use the J word. This Hasidic Talmudist in New York that are doing some really interesting things, and then we're going to talk about it. So let me show that. right. So, what I find really interesting about this is these tunnels, they're not found just underneath their temples, they're found underneath their community, like all
Yes.
over the place. And what's amazing about that is the time it would take to make that happen, the energy that it takes to make it happen, and you have to have a significant purpose, don't you, to create those tunnels? Because this is not like a movie. This is not Escape from New York, right? I mean, these
No.
people are not trying to escape from New York, because if they were, they could just get on a boat, they could go, get on a plane, they could go, they could leave. You know, they're not stuck there.
Right.
So tell me, what are the purposes of the tunnels?
So it's the tunnels are. I want to just say first and foremost, as we're talking about New York City, the tunnels are also very pervasive. Okay, and it isn't just New York City; they are in every major city around the world. Okay, and let me and just to kind of break it down for the folks that are watching this. Okay, it's an easier way to move children. I was in a meeting this morning, and I was even explaining, as I'm going to repeat myself as you and I talked. Again, there's people that believe that the children that are trafficked are only moved like on trains, planes, and automobiles. Okay, however, when you are trying to do things that's not in plain sight, when you have children that are a lot of them that are considered like high value assets, or you don't want it to be seen, like literally like how to move children. So there are underground cities, and cities are built over cities, by the way. Okay, so it's not unreasonable, or as you know, Rick, I like to say cuckoo for cocoa puffs, that there would be tunnels or cities built over cities. Okay, so with that said, in that there are obviously streets, tunnelways, old cities. So, but what these guys do is they've made it. These guys have access. Okay, these some of these temples, even the Roman Catholic Church, they even have a connection to each other. Most people don't know that. Even some of the Muslim temples, it's like in a pentagram shape of these tunnels underneath, where they can move these children out without being seen, is why it matters. What they do is move them out to actual waterways. So, as you know, New York City is really, really important for this, because it is built on what? An island. So the islands are really important to the people that are in the trafficking world and the business of moving children. If you're using a tunnel system, I will tell you what, it's easier. You can move them unseen. And matter of fact, you can get them into the next leading connected temple, to do a ritual. And so everything is underground and unseen. And then you're moving them straight to even like a barge, or again, it's some kind of waterway to put them onto a connected type of a vehicle to move them on the water. Is what it is. So tunnels are extremely important, is what it is, and especially in New York, because they can do rituals, like I said, with connecting it to the Roman Catholic Church, to the Muslim temple, and again, we all know the Roman Catholic Church is involved in connected in doing mystic, like Kabbalah, and the mystic Muslim. Even that was created by the Roman Catholic Church into the mystic Kabbalah.
You know, interesting that you said what you said, because just take a look at like the movies that we've seen lately that have come out about human trafficking. What was the one that came out on Angel Studios? I'm trying to remember the the name of it. The big
Oh,
one.
is it the Sound of Freedom?
Yeah, Sound of Freedom, right? Okay, so Sound of Freedom. You notice how the way they portrayed it, it was just always people who wanted to get satisfied, right? It was just about satisfying a lust or satisfying greed. There was never anything talked about when you say high value assets or you say ritualistic. That wasn't portrayed in that movie at all.
No.
That movie only portrayed the moving of children for satisfying men's urges or satisfying women's urges or whatever. But it's way deeper than that, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and actually, that I know a lot of people think that that opened a lot of eyes. I just want to say just really quickly, and it did. Okay, we will say that for those that were, the regular everyday people walking around that are the local farmers. I'm going to say, let's just say it that way. Okay, but let's face it, that movie was a distraction to what you just asked me. Okay, because this is something that goes back, we're talking thousands of years. This is biblical, and it's a biblical proportions, because it goes back to what God was talking about. It goes back to why he didn't want why he didn't want the Hebrews, why he didn't want the Israelites to go and marry these other people, because they had been, it's a seed that goes into literally Nephilim or Nephilim tribes. Okay, what were these guys doing? It was pagan religion. They were burning their children to Moloch. So nothing new under the sun. This goes back to that. So when they're doing these rituals, why it's important to them is because they believe they gain power when they are molesting a child in the middle of a ritual. This is why this is important, not because they got some crazy fetish. It's about power, and it gets into Luciferian, and it gets into ritualistic beliefs. It's what do they believe? And when you understand that, you will see it goes way beyond any sexual deviant just type of behavior.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that we're so stuck on portraying it as sexual deviancy, rather than actually go into, is it because they've got us convinced that, oh, that's just a bunch of conspiracy theory? There's no more to it. Can you explain that? Is there a reasoning to it?
Yes, there absolutely is. It's a facade. It creates a complete distraction so that people will go after one pedophile. Let's take an example recently, trying to pretend like Epstein was like the lone shooter. He's the lone ranger, right? He was just this one bad guy, when the truth is that it's a cover to cover up an entire, we're talking a web of web weavers. You're getting into political people, or getting into high level religious people, from every religion in the world, and a Masonic connection that goes again back to your pagan religions. And this goes back into something that is believed by, they believe in Lucifer, they believe in their god Baphomet. So it's about rituals that they are paying homage to who they believe is their god, small g, little god.
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to say that in a nutshell, really. I mean, I'm really trying to say. I mean, this is nothing new under the sun. They've been doing it for thousands and
Right.
thousands of years.
Well, it's an important subject to you, because they're, look, they get away with it because they have this facade of being, again, I'm going to go back to picking on Talmudists here. I'm going to pick on them again because it's like my favorite thing to do. But they got this facade of we're the chosen people, we're exceptional, leave us alone. We're in fact we're going to rule the world, and one day when our Messiah comes back, he's going to rule from sea to shining sea, and you're going to have to follow every Noahide law, or else we're going to behead you. So on and so forth. Right? That's the facade that they have, is that they're untouchable.
Absolutely. And here's the thing too, is that you get into Zionism, and that's very, very, very frightening. It's very serious. And you have a lot of and I'm just, if this offends anybody, I'm not trying to, but Christian religions that get into something that are like, that gets into some of the NAR stuff, where they believe, because they've been handed down over and over and over and over into Darbyism. There's things that but we're told because grandma and grandpa said so. Does not make it right, does not mean, but if we dig a little further, what did their parents or grandparents believe? And it goes into that Zionism. You find out they were into mysticism, they were into divination. So if you dig a little farther and you dig a little more, you find out we weren't really told the truth. So I'm going to go somewhere with that. I'm going to go into, well, if you go into, you work with histographers and linguistics and etymologists into anti-trafficking, when you're tracking children, you start to really see who these tribes really were, going way, way back. You go back into certain tribes, even the Scythians, that connect all the way back to the Hittites. Well, guess what? those guys went into a place called Ashkenazi. They're Ashkenazi in a place called Caesarea. So they were actually serving all different kinds of Babylonian gods. It was very important. It's called the Order of Baal. They were this is generational. They are literally serving up their children to Baal, little g, little god, which is just another word for Lucifer, another word for Satan. Okay. And so these guys, again, they have their king back in that time. I think his name was Abu, or I'm going to say it wrong, but anyway, it's something that sounds like that. But anyway, they had this king that decides these Israelites were winning every battle. I mean, they were literally, God was taking out their enemies left and right. And so they decided to vote on, like, hey, should we be Jewish like those guys? They were called Jewish. That's what he thought that they were. But they were Israelites. I want to just make that really clear. The name Jews comes from Judites. So that's really important to understand. Those weren't the Israelites, and they weren't the Hebrews. I know, because my husband, he brews great coffee. He was a Hebrew. So anyway, just one joke.
Uh,
Um, with that said, so again, they voted. They said, should we be Muslim, or do we become Christian? Which was also new at the time, or do we become? They call themselves the Jews over here, which they're really Israelites. So they said, I don't know, they're winning all those battles. I think we become those guys. Let's become Jews. So what they end up doing, because they're still practicing all of these types of pagan religions, which again are trafficking children. They're trafficking the men's of souls. This is Ezekiel 8. Okay, is what's really going on. But it's a way, again, that king says, no, we're gonna become just this one. We're gonna become Jews. So at that point in history, you guys can look this up. This is not hidden history anymore. And they start to marry into the Israelites, and in some of the tribes, like Dan is a big one that becomes some of the Phoenicians, becomes some of the Scythians. The trouble is they kept doing their rituals, which they believed. Why do they do those rituals? They believe during the process of sodomy, it gives them power.
mm,
So this is really important to understand, that they believe they get spiritual, dark, demonic power is what they believe. And that's what they're trying to attain when they're in these rituals, and they're bloodletting, and they're basically it's a type of power, is what it is, demonic power.
wow. And just to exacerbate the whole thing, the only religious sect in the world that justifies their continuance on a matriarchal system are those people.
Absolutely.
Because if your mother, right, if your mother is a Talmudist, oh,
Yeah.
we still there? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, I have it in my own. I found it in my own story, in my own bloodlines. Matter of fact, my last name is an Ashkenazi Jewish name,
Mm.
and and again, so I mean, a lot of this stuff happened to me because it's generational, it's handed down. And again, I didn't know
Yep.
that until the research on my own case started to go on. Do I have another side of the family that actually does come from tribes of Benjamin? Yes, that are handed down too. So there's a mixture, is where I'm going. Okay, you have a mixture. And so the trouble is that when you go into studying the Torah, like the Israelites did, okay, these guys it was like this was very important. They studied the Torah. What does that look like? They have a menorah. They don't have an upside down pyramid, okay, which is a Masonic symbol, and a one that goes upright like this. That's another Masonic symbol. And guess what they created? Oh, Solomon's star. That's like on the flag in Israel. That's not that's not Hebraic. It's not for the tribes of Israel. It's not at all. It goes back into Solomon. And when Solomon who was Solomon at the end? The end, he was the biggest backslider there was. So that Talmud, which is something that got grafted in, unfortunately, when they married in, those are the Yiddish, the Ashkenazi Jews. They speak Yiddish. Most people don't know there's a difference. And they study the what? The Talmud. That's where the Kabbalic mysticism, it's an overlay into the, we're going into all of the Pythagorean mysticism and all that, going all the way back into Egyptian lore, mysticism, Babylonian paganism. And they literally, it's intertwined is what it is. Okay, most people don't know that. And they don't know who Herzog is. Go look up that guy. You go into Herzog and you find out here's a guy that created something called the Elders of Zion. Well, and you go into that, that's something that branches off into the Jesuits. Well, why would the Jesuits? That goes when people know that people who don't know anything, like, well, that's just some good Catholics, right? And it's like, well, no, it's a militant arm of the Vatican. And these guys too are practicing mysticism that goes into the type of like Kabbalah mysticism that goes again, it's ancient Babylonian mysticism, once again, is what it really is.
Wow.
There's nothing Jesus about any of that. There's nothing Hebraic or there's nothing about the true Israelites at all. The tribes, the lost 10 tribes, another lie. They were never lost. We were grafted in, is what it was. It's America. It's the islands and the British Isles. It's Europe. I mean, I could go on. It's South America. It's Canada. I mean, it just goes on. They were not lost. Okay.
Fascinating. I love it. Now, before we get lost in the weeds here, I'm gonna play a different clip for you. This one is about a false Jesus that I found this clip and I'm fascinated with it, and I want you to respond to it. So let me play that real quick.
As in the cult, abusers will dress up as Jesus before the abuse, so that they literally have it in their mind that Jesus is the problem. The survivor, she was elementary school age, had been trafficked by a satanic cult. She did end up becoming pregnant when I believe she was 12 years old. She gave birth to that baby. They immediately took that baby away. They forced her to come and be a part of a ritual where they sacrificed that baby. And, it goes all the way up to the top. Human trafficking is the second largest industry in the world. This hits every area of our society. When I went over with a team of former special ops guys, I'm sitting on the ground with these women. What I heard over and over again was, I wish I would have just died in captivity because there's nothing left for me. Buyers of sex are lawyers, political figures, doctors, pastors, police officers.
Pastors?
Yeah.
Of Christian churches?
Yeah.
What the heck? Has anyone named a name that you knew?
Yeah, pretty sick, right? So I'm curious as to your response to this false Jesus thing.
So the false Jesus, it's done to children. Again, there are families that are born into this generationally, but there's also ones that are government sponsored, kidnapped because they were the branch that got away in my situation. And so they'll bring these children, they'll kidnap them through different ways. This is a program. It's a religious program, is what they call it. Literally, it's a door and it's a gate that they open to create this type of religious programming, so that these children basically, when they come in, they dress up like Jesus, and they keep doing this repeatedly as these children get older and older, so that anybody that would try to come in to tell them about the real Yeshua, real Jesus, that this would block that door, because the only door out of getting out of programming and to be whole and healed, meaning integrated, is Jesus Christ. There's no other door out. And you know what? So the enemy, the people that are trafficking children, that are programming them, they know this. These Luciferians, and that's what they are, because that's what they believe. This is not what T believes. This is what they believe. This is why they do it. So they know that the only door out is Jesus Christ to heal these children. So if they can block that door of really getting free spiritually and to know true Christ, Jesus Christ, then this is how they block it. So they will not believe, they will be scared, and they will think that he is just one of these entities that has hurt them and abused them over and over again.
Wow, sick, sick, sick. And so, have you, in your experience, helped people who have gone through this kind of programming?
Yes, I do. I do know. Well, I know several. I know several survivors that have experienced the Jesus programming. This It's a religious program, and I'm going to tell you, it is pervasive. It's very pervasive, and they do it in Kabbalic mysticism programming. They do it, and it's a type of MK Ultra monarch programming. And there's various types, of course, of MK Ultra programming, as we know. It's just one area, but it has literally been done for generations. This is nothing new under the sun.
Wow. So, yeah, I'm just this one's got me kind of shaken personally because they literally make you think that the answer is the insult. That it blows me away.
But think about something else. If Jesus Christ, if there was no power to Jesus Christ, they wouldn't have to dress up as Jesus Christ to make him look like the bad guy.
That's a good
They
point.
wouldn't do that if it didn't matter, because Jesus Christ is the only door, and they know it. They know it's the only door out.
Wow. And it makes all the sense in the world because you got these testimonies in Scripture where the demons were being cast out in a name that they didn't recognize. But when they cast them out in the name of Jesus, it was a clean, you know, it was a operative. What was the word I'm looking for? It worked.
It really did. Now I will tell you, some of the survivors that I do know that are free and that are whole at this point. Okay, and that's the word we want to use. Some of the words are integrative to programming, but the real word is whole. And where they have completely, all of their parts, okay, have become one, where they're healed and they're whole. Okay, and with that said, those, I will tell you, were have literally had a true, like, interaction, a spiritual connection, where true Yeshua has come in and literally come in like I kid you not, like a supernatural spiritual experience, where the Lord ripped that veil and they were able to literally have that experience and get freed spiritually. Those chains dropped off, and those people are walking free today. So that should tell you something right there. Again, why the enemy wants to make sure to keep locking that door, so they cannot get freed in their minds, in their spirit, and their heart. Okay.
And I guess another door that the enemy would want to keep locked is the door of those who are conduits of Christ being placed in proper positions. So pastors, right? She mentioned in that little clip that pastors are some of the most prevalent purchasers of the of these humanly trafficked people. I suppose that's another door that the enemy is going to want to lock, is to make sure that we don't ever get pure whole pastors in positions that can help, right?
Yep. And I have to say, because what they want to do is they want to place their own, like we're talking, I call it the cult, the brotherhood, because this is a web of people that are involved, that are high level people. So again, it isn't just politicians, movie stars, rock stars, people. It's pastors that a lot of them have been groomed as children, that are programmed to be placed in those synagogues, in those churches. And they've literally, so that they can make sure that if anybody comes forward to report about any of this, that they are gatekeepers, is what happened. I mean, and this is what they're doing. Like, I even had my own experience in an organization that I was literally being safe housed in, that was compromised and sold me out. And let me tell you, it was somebody who did anti-trafficking, was high-level State Department person, but they were also a minister. And so there's those kind of people. They are gatekeepers. And some people can take the blood money like this individual did, but I'm just telling you that they place these people, or sometimes these people also will, they will take the blood money and they'll sell people out that come in, like survivors that come in to try to get help. So it's a double-edged sword. There's both.
I mean, I've for a long time recognized that our seminaries are more like cemeteries. It's turning out, dead men's bones over and over and over again. In fact, I've gotten to the point where I can't even acknowledge them as seminaries anymore. But to see at this level, to talk about these pastors that are being placed into these positions being plants, that's a whole different level. That's crazy.
But think about it. So we make jokes about how some of your let's take an example for the medicine, where some of the institutions, okay, that have taught medical with your doctors and your nurses, well, it's Rockefeller medicine. So when you get into theology, well, who are the people that are handing down the theology that's being taught in your seminaries today? If these people aren't literally taught like true Jesus Christ, okay, and it is another doctrine then, isn't it? Jesus said, beware of that other doctrine. And then when you go up that ladder and you start to see a structure at the world, it's called the world church, by the way, and you start to see who's at the top, the Vatican, and you start to see a structure that goes down to the next level. Then you get to the Mormons, you get down to the JWs, you get down to and you look at who created those. And these people are the ones who are handing down this theology, a mixture, might I add, into these seminaries. And you'll find out it's another doctrine. And so when I was just sitting with somebody else, we were talking about even some of the Baptist church. Did you know that most Baptist church, they all are stemmed off the Masonic Scottish Rite temples? So most of your pastors are high-level Masons. And so, as we know, we get to 33rd degree. They know they're serving Lucifer. They're not, that G is not the God that you and I know. It's a little g. It's Lucifer. And they know it. They know it at the 33rd degree. They know it even below that, a 13 arch degree, I will tell you that. So what theology, I mean, that's a mixture, once again, that's coming down from these seminaries. And then it just becomes more of a religion now, doesn't it? It doesn't teach relationship, does it, with true Yeshua? It's not a relationship, walking and talking and knowing how to read the scriptures and it being the word of God. It's something that's watered down, so people do not find relationship.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's amazing. And a lot of your local pastors, I'm not talking about big churches, I'm talking about small community churches and country churches, they end up being informants for the Babylonian system too. Because I had a personal experience with a pastor being an informant, and so that sways people away from Christ as well. When you're talking about literally, when you come to them with a problem, and their answer is not Jesus, but the Babylonian system, to turn you away and to inform, the Babylonian system on you. Yikes.
Right. So I have to say there are certain smaller churches, because there is a structure, okay, that they're up under a headship of, let's say, a governing body is what it is. And so, and you've got to remember too, these smaller churches, they are under their 501c3s. And who rules that? So that, again, that's a Babylonian system. It's a corporate system. Okay. And so they got to keep that money going, because they've got to depend on those higher level pastors, this is what people need to understand. They still answer to somebody up the food chain, and they're looking to move up and their church make more money. So a lot of them are good little informants, so that they can say, look, we found these others coming in, and you know this is happening. And so yeah, they'll turn you away, they'll turn you in so fast. I kid you not. And it's very pervasive. It's a structure, and it's a very well oiled pyramid structure. It really is. And it is, and if they're in that 501c3 status, that means they can lift the lid, the higher churches can, and they give them the orders. They tell them what they're going to be teaching. Also, that people need to know that as well.
Wow. So I've had you a long time. I don't want to, take up your whole day, but I do want to give you an opportunity to put a message out that's, that's current to you, something that you're maybe working on right now that you want to get out to the world. I don't have a huge channel, but, we can get this out to, whoever listens to it. So go for it.
So we are obviously, the whole goal with even Isaiah 61 Ministries, if you read that scripture, it's about going to the deepest, darkest places to set captives free. And Rick, you and I have talked about what do those captives look like. Those aren't just the children that are still in bondage, again, about setting them free, but we have people that are literally walking around that are seniors that need to be set free, okay? Because they are chained by this Babylonian system. So what I'm working on is I have a delegates from Doge. And again, I'm not saying that they are the answer either. We're just hold their feet to the fire, okay? Because our goal is to work with others that are from the border patrol guys, to the rescue guys, to those that are trying to do integration for creating wholeness. There's a unifying bunch of us, a group of us coming together that the Lord is putting together, that all have the same goal, which is to set the captives free. But our goal also in that is to hold the feet to the fire of those that the Lord has put in power, like the Nebuchadnezzars, the Artaxerxes. We want to be the next Zerubbabels, the next Ezras, to say, listen, I'm going to pay you guys, go build the wall, okay? So because I know the Lord can use those in the enemy camp. Also, there is that, but we have to have discernment in that. So I'm asking for prayer for that, and for the Lord, for all those the Lord is actually teaming up to put together, to come alongside each other, and like I said, to set those captives free. I'm headed to DC as we speak. And so I'm going to be I'm working with people that have the software that shows how these children were taken, the forgeries, the bonds. I mean, we're talking all of the counterfeiting, you name it. And with the children that left the United States through Human Health Services Agency like Jonah. So we're about holding their feet to the fire. So we would like prayer for that. And that's what we're working on right now. So we appreciate that.
Awesome. Appreciate you being here today, T. You've been an amazing help at explaining some things, and I couldn't have done this one without you. I would not have gotten that deep, that's for sure. So I really appreciate you.
Oh, and one last thing. So I do want to say that also in this, getting authenticated, and as you know, this is something that I think everyone really needs to look more into and even understand why this is part of the process to set those captives free. I'm very serious. It's why I'm able to show my face after. It isn't just a piece of paper. It's being grafted in to God's bloodline and actually breaking down all of those generational bloodlines, those curses, but it's spiritually getting free also, which is part of getting authenticated and governing our own houses. Let's get out of Babylon, you guys. Let's do it together. Thank you.
Yeah, great message. Sounds familiar. So, all right, everybody, appreciate you. And remember, everything that we do here at Privateers Volley, it's all about the blood. We will see you next time.